Oh, brand new interface. Hi, guys. Let's continue with this intro. I'm Tanya Beeson. Hi.
Hello. Yeah, we're on. It looks like we're on air, so hopefully we're good.
Yes.
David O'Connell here. Hello.
Lindsay Flay. Ooh.
And we're going to be your
Wow.
guides.
Little laggy.
A little laggy. Okay. Nice experiment. Let's see how we go. And we'll be your guides in this monthly journey into the heart of the animation industry in Western Australia. Each month, Lightbox will bring you the latest and greatest in animation news, from upcoming films and shows to industry discussions that will inspire and empower the talented animators who call Western Australia home. We'll also delve into the creative processes and challenges faced by our local animators as they work tirelessly to bring their unique visions to life. So buckle up, get ready to be amazed as we explore the vibrant, ever-evolving world of West Australian animation. This is Lightbox, and we're just getting started.
And we wish to acknowledge and honour the traditional custodians of the land we're streaming from, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation. We recognise and celebrate their enduring culture, the rich tapestry of Indigenous arts, and the invaluable contributions they have made to the vibrancy and cultural diversity of this city and region.
Cool. And now, before we dive into today's content, we'd like to issue a quick advisory warning. While our channel is generally suitable for most audiences, there may be occasions where we delve into topics or showcase content that might be not appropriate for younger viewers. We strive to engage in creating engaging and enjoyable content for everyone, but please be advised that some material may not be suitable for children. Parental discretion is advised, and we encourage you to review the content before sharing it with younger audiences. Our goal is to provide a safe and enjoyable viewing experience for all, and we appreciate your understanding and support. Over to the news.
Oh, before we do that, we should mention, that's a good warning, but yes, trigger warning, speech impediments. And we'll be talking a little bit about that.
So, there you go.
There you go.
Yes. And violent cartoons, the stuff that our parents used to warn us about.
Yes.
And then plunk us in front of the TV to watch anyway. So yeah.
Absolutely. I was forbidden to watch television.
Actors and creators from the 40s.
Yes. Yeah. Watch out. Old white guys.
Yes. Okay.
News time.
Oh,
Tanya, tell us about how's 3:30's going at this moment in time.
Oh, okay. 3:30. The creation period is over. Everyone should have delivered their films. There's a bunch of films in the directory, as far as I've been told by Travis, who maintains the 3:30 show. So I'm excited to see. For those people who didn't quite get finished, there is an opportunity to have your film screened, but you're past the judging period. So just so you know, so you can still contribute to the screening night and see your film on the big screen, but unfortunately you will not be able to be judged as part of the competition because you've missed the deadline. Deadlines being very important to our industry, and I think, maintaining that is pretty good. But if you still want to see your stuff on the big screen, you can still send
So when is the screening night going to be?
Oh, the screening night is August 3rd, Monday, at Event Cinemas. It's going to be a fun night, as it always is. And we're going to get to see the multitude of different films that have come from our keyword Charmed. I'm excited to see them all.
So we might be a week late in streaming from this side as well.
Yeah,
that's true. I'll be up to my eyeballs in post-production.
We either do that or skip the month of August because, it's potentially can get a little bit busy. Also, on the 4th, details coming soon, is the Wanimate Industry Night, which will be open to local professionals and local animators. It's going to be a first come, first served kind of really tight event. And several of the sponsors of the 330 awards, like Wacom and Adobe and Toon Boom, will all be there to talk about their wares and discuss things going on in industry. So really awesome, interesting night. That's going to be at the Backlot Cinema, and we're going to do a little bit of a screening and some show and tells and talk about some stuff. So that's happening the night after the 330 Animation Awards. So it's going to be a cool and interesting couple of days for animation in WA. Okay, let's jump
The
into
highlight of our calendar, you might say.
Sounds really good.
Yeah. Oh, why is this not working? Where is that?
Okay, so
Hold on.
let's start with the first.
Oh, there it is. It's working.
Yep. Okay.
Hold on.
Slowly. Yeah.
Slowly.
Okay. That's
No. See, new technology. Sorry, everyone. We've replaced our streaming
there we go.
platform. And,
Yes.
That's it.
And there we go. We're in the right spot.
Okay.
Go for it, Dave.
We're in the right spot now. So let's. Okay, look, these are just brief announcements. There's not too much to tell on each of them, but they are interesting. So we've got a Conan series announced by Gendy Tasakowski, and the first season is Conan, Queen and the Queen of the Black Coast. So based on a very popular story, Conan is a pirate with Ballet, I believe.
Ballet is the
introduction
main
as well.
Female character.
It's apparently been in development for some time, so hopefully it won't be too long before it reaches our screens.
If you've seen Primal,
DC Animation also has announced 3.
Sorry.
Yeah, especially if you've seen season 2, you know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. DC Animations has announced 3 new series. So we've got Joker, Laugh Riot, Crypto, and Absolute Batman. So look for the biggest, chunkiest unit of Batman since Dark Knight Returns. Quite frankly, he's a beefy boy.
Wasn't Jim Gordon's
Warner
version
Brothers
of Batman in the robot suit the chunkiest version of Batman?
No, that's the Absolute Batman's following the new DC arc, which I'm not, or DC Elseworld, so I'm not too sure about. It's a basic reimagination, so it's going to be quite interesting.
Okay.
And Warner Brothers has announced Dark Shadows, so the 1960s and into the 70s soap opera, which started as a basic soap opera, then introduced a vampiric character, and the show really took off from that. So yeah, I'll be interested to see how they do this. It sounds like they're sticking closer to the original idea of the series rather than the Tim Burton reimagining or remake in, was it late 90s, early 2000s?
I think early
2000s for it was related.
Yeah.
Interesting. So those are pieces of news for today. Let's move on to the coming soon. So July marks a new anime season, so we're looking forward to some new and returning shows. So notable ones are Ghost in the Shell. Studio Science Saru, responsible for Dan Dan, is doing a version of Ghost in the Shell that seems to cleave closer to the manga than the movie did. So it looks beautiful. I'll be very curious to see what it's like. We've got Sparks of Tomorrow, which is a reimagining of the Industrial Revolution as such, and shifting a city from the steam age to the electrical age in Japan. Jagar, the Witch of the Witch in Mongolia. That looks amazing, and this might be one of those hidden gems or sleeper hits for the season. We'll take a look at it again. It's Site Saru doing the animation, and I think the first episode dropped over the weekend. We've got Smoking Behind the Supermarket with You, and as for returning series, we have Elusive Samurai Season 2, which Elusive Samurai was one of those slept-on shows from last year. Impressive animation, really fluid, absolutely fluid in its animation. It's beautiful. It's quite beautiful to see. That's going to be very interesting. Mushoku Tensei, Season 3, one of the original isekais, at least as far as the written manga goes. Bleach 1000-Year Blood War, I believe, is just about reaching its end. So that series has been around for decades now. And apparently the 1000-Year War has actually revitalized it. And You and I Are Polar Opposites, which I do love as a series. Season 2 is coming out. It's some of the best written teenage characters from the mangaka. I can't remember their name, unfortunately. But they do You and I Are Polar Opposites and Rampant Vice, which is on Netflix, which has just been on last season and finishing up now. Both are incredibly written teens from a very different perspective. We should also state that X-Men 97 has premiered on Disney, and new episodes are inbound. So that's season 2 for X-Men 97. So return to classic 90s animation, and they did well last season, and they seem to be doing well this season. With looking at the Apocalypse War. Okay, now on to what's actually coming very soon. So let's skip straight to July 10th, and there goes my ear. Excuse us. Technical issues. All right, July 10th. We got Big City Pizza. So that's part of the Revelation Film Festival. That's, I think, the only full-length animation that's screening as part of it. And I think it's got multiple screenings. The first is on July 10th. There is also a number of animated shorts, and I believe a collection of animated shorts that is screening as part of the Revelation Film Festival. So look at either the Rev Film site or the Luna site to see what's screening and when. And book your tickets if you can, because Rev is always popular. And it's a great chance to see some little shown films, stuff that you wouldn't normally get a chance to see. July 16th, we have Animal Farm coming out. This is the Andy Serkis directed remake of George Orwell's classic. I haven't seen it yet. I've started to feel some dread from seeing the trailer.
I've heard bad things.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, same here. I think this one might be a miss, but I haven't seen it to tell about it yet. July 25th. Now, this is an unsubstantiated rumor. One of the other Netflix, foreign Netflix, did schedule it for this date, but I haven't seen Australian Netflix do the same. So, Avatar: Aang, the Last Airbender. This is the Avatar movie that got we talked about previously, that was leaked a few months back. From what I've seen of the few clips that are out there, without diving down pirate holes to find full rips of stuff, it looks like it should be amazing. This is looking at an adult Aang and crew, how they handle an issue growing up as such. So that should be good. July 31st, Batman Cat Crusader Season 2 is coming to Prime. And August 5th, Star Wars Visions is actually doing a, instead of the short, only taking an episode for each person, they're doing an extended sort of number of episodes, a miniseries as such. I think it's 6 episodes. So Star Wars Vision presents The Ninth Jedi. And this is all one story scattered over 6 episodes. So curious to see how that goes. As far as local screenings go, other than, of course, what we're talking about for Rev, We've got on July 10th and also repeating on July 25th, Cowboy Bebop the movie. July 11th, Space Jam, which may be somewhat topical to our conversation that we're having this month. July 26th, we've got Small Soldiers. And July 27th, we've got Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle at the Luna. The rest are at the Revival House. Cool.
Very, very cool.
Alrighty.
Oh, we jumped straight in.
Interesting.
Shall we go into? Yep.
Yeah, let's.
And we're just mentioning a number of characters that the Man of 1,000 Voices.
Missing one of our slides. The slide where I prompt everything, but it's fine. You know, the hiccups of a new delivery system. Okay. Introduce.
We're not professionals. There's no doubt about it.
No, we're not.
Okay, the topic this month is famous voice actor Mel Blanc, the Man of 1,000 Voices, as he's being called. Even if you don't know him, you probably know a character that he's developed.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay, so the man is responsible for pretty much all the Looney Tunes characters that you know and love, and that's who we're talking about. So the gentleman was born in 1908. So he grew up in a very different sort of under very different influences than we're used to talking about voice actors grew up with. So his was like vaudeville and radio, and even at school he presented a fondness for dialects and doing voices. He left school at a relatively early age and went to be a big band leader. Initially, he played the violin, but when he was in school in the marching band, I think he shifted to tuba. So that's a very different instrument. But it was the era of big band. He made good money for a while doing big bands. He peppered his performances with comedy skits and routines, practicing his accents and voices. He looked to get into radio and left for LA, but returned with a wife instead of an actual radio career to Portland. So him and Estelle, his wife, they first had a moderately successful radio show in Portland called Cobwebs and Nuts, where Mel provided 100 different male roles for it, and Estelle did the rest. They were basically writing, producing, and acting that entire show for about $15 a week. So it wasn't a very profitable time for them, but it was a happy one. He did contemplate selling insurance instead, but he instead decided to try again to break into radio in LA. And he headed back there in the mid 1930s. I think it was about 35 memory. So he spent about 2 years auditioning for various roles around the place. With Warner Brothers, he saw an opportunity because he didn't feel that their voice work in the cartoons was hitting that level of zaniness that Warner Brothers cartoon and Merry Melodies was really hitting as far as the visuals went. So he kept going to Warner Brothers to audition, and he was constantly knocked back with the same response. We have all the voice talent we need, because they were drawing on all the extras that they had at the time and could just shift them into the roles instead. But he saw that opportunity and kept going every 2 weeks for 2 years. And eventually he ran into Treg Brown in 1937. He was a sound editor for the Warner Brothers cartoons. And whether it was just a different era or whether it was their musical connection, because Treg also had a musical background as well, they just hit it off and recorded a demo for some directors. Some of those samples were used earlier than Blanc had actually signed on for. So things like his trademark hiccup or his yelp were used in cartoons before he actually made a vocal appearance in cartoons. His first appearance in a cartoon was Pig and Porky, 1937, directed by Tex Avery. and he played a drunken bull character in that. You can see kind of how Tex Avery and Mel Blanc and that sort of zaniness would get on together. So he ended up very quickly swapping to become Porky's voice. And in 1937, during Porky's Duck Hunt, he took over voicing the role of voicing Porky Pig, and also introduced Daffy Duck in his kind of prototypical zany screwball duck persona that he would develop, and then kind of.
Yep.
Cool. Dave is frozen. Or is he frozen? Is he frozen for you?
In 1940, he what? As am I?
Just a little bit.
Yeah, you're just
out.
lagging
Can you hear me?
a little.
I can hear you. We're good.
Okay. Okay. All right. So in 1940s, it's a bit of Bugs Bunny and in a Wild Hare, and he voiced that character as well. Lindsay, you have a story about how he actually got the character, I believe, how he chose the voices for the character?
I was chasing up old late night talk shows like Johnny Carson stuff, and there's this ancient Mel Blanc on screen with an ancient, was it Rick Benny or something, or the famous radio broadcaster, and they were reminiscing on their days when they did radio together. Jack Benny, sorry. And basically, Bugs Bunny was like, this is the period where he was finally getting to the point where they'd show him a character and he'd kind of come up with the voice for it. And the voice for Bugs Bunny was a strange mix of the Bronx and Brooklyn. So he was supposed to be a kind of tough guy, sort of rabbit, like a kind of trickster. And so Mel thought, well, what's the most likely, what's the most tough guy I can think of? And he thought of someone from the Bronx or from Brooklyn. So we just combined those two accents, and Bugs was born, more or less, and that's how it worked. It's like, yeah, I find that story a bit strange because I don't imagine Bugs being a tough guy, but in a sense, when you think about it, it's like, yeah, he's a kind of a wise guy, and when he used the two accents together on the show, you really got a strong sense. Yeah, that's some dude from the streets of New York or wherever. It kind of reminded me of the scout from Team Fortress, that sort of inner urban thing, except minus the violence, of course. Yeah, it was interesting how so when you looked at Mel, he wasn't just doing silly voices.
Well, actually, different sort of violence, surely.
Well, it's part of the period of the time, I think. We could chat about that for a bit, but coming out of that environment where there's, you got to remember, this is what we call, quote, the silent generation in action, going through the Second World War. It's a whole different social environment. All of these characters, all these guys, or anyone in their middle ages would have grown up in a world with no television, no radio, probably very little electricity, possibly not even phones, possibly not even cars, certainly not air travel. And by the time the 1940s have come around, everything's turned on its head and blown up or whatever. So it's a whole different environment. So when they're thinking of zany, crazy characters, they're so familiar to us we can't see them anymore. But at the time, they were really designed for adults. They weren't actually for kids. And so, of course, they had all these kind of adult sensibilities, that some of which hasn't aged very well. But things like the slapstick and the violence, they're all products of vaudeville and live performances where you basically make it big and bold and you try to basically perform to the last person in the back row of the auditorium. So it's a whole different universe than what we're used to growing in, or even,
Sorry, go on.
And what our next generation has grown up with. It's a far cry from things like Steven Universe or even things like Pokemon. But, so
we should also state how influential Mel was in not just giving those the voice, but giving the personality. Because he's shown those pictures, he's given a few notes, and he finds the voice for them, and that's how they display that personality on screen.
Well, I had a little bit of an experience of that when I was making my own animations. where you'd stick a professional actor in front of your animation and say, look, here we go. And what you'd find is that they just find something and they just respond to it. And then that would spontaneously create a character from that. And you give them a quick brief, but you'd be always startled by how it works. And yeah, it's amazing. So it's a bit like live action being a reactive sort of direction, whereas animation's very much built up over time. So the thing about a voice actor is that they can really change the whole character, and they can really add a lot of snap and spark to it. I mean, we mentioned this in our previous podcasts about voice actors. You know,
he rocketed
got voice
Bugs.
actors.
He rocketed Bugs into the level of Mickey Mouse as you know, that sort of thing. Because Warner's weren't competing with Disney at that point, and then suddenly it was up there to the point where like Bugs is so popular that the reason we think rabbits eat carrots is totally
because of Bugs Bunny.
Yeah. So it's a modern cultural phenomenon that everyone assumes rabbits eat carrots, which they tend not to, is because of Bugs Bunny. Yeah. I mean, just researching about... Oh, sorry, go on.
No, you go. You go.
Okay. Well, just researching about Mel Blanc, I've realized though, like you find out that he's the guy that gets the most accreditation and recognition, probably because he was the only guy who got credit for it in all the movies and cartoons that were made. There were hundreds of people doing stuff like that, and they were basically switching from radio to vaudeville to whatever was going at the time they'd do. I mean, if you look at all the old classic Disney cartoons, like say Cinderella or something, and then you realize they've got one of the big names doing something like the Fairy Godmother voice. And it's an actress I've never heard of, and I realized, oh my God, she used to do all these comedy roles for all these different places, and so that's why that movie is kind of memorable, because it's not just the beautiful animation. Beautiful animation on its own is neither here nor there, really. I mean, but once you combine that with a character and a really strong character voice, it makes a huge difference. So, you know, it's like, does Mel Blanc just do speech impediments? Well, hell no. And I think Exhibit A is Bugs Bunny. You know, Bugs Bunny is grounded. It would have come out during the Second World War, right? He's the wise guy, underdog, who's always responding to bigger, nastier forces, and he's always prevailing. And that's the really key part of it. And the thing is, he's got that tough guy, wise guy, think on your feet, street smart feel that feels authentic because he's come out of, well, the Brooklyn and the Bronx, so to speak. And he turns the tables on who's playing around with him. I mean, he's the sort of character who's a bit like Brer Rabbit from the Deep South, and the sassy, fast talker who's basically hustling his way through life in New York City. So I think for the States, there would have been popularity on all levels and all different locations, even, you know, North and South. Whereas Disney tended to be more, I don't want to say American BBC English, but it tended to be more uptight. It was much more polished, but nowhere near as funny as the Warner Brothers stuff, with the possible exception of maybe Donald Duck occasionally and Goofy most of the time. But yeah, if you look at the two characters, well, the two studios, Warner Brothers was definitely the more popular because it's the most vibrant and the most grounded and the most funny, and it's fast and furious. So churning out stuff all over the place. Yeah,
I think that's the reason that you're right. That's part of the reason that Bugs Bunny did become popular in the 40s. Because he's a relatively new character, but he starts rocketing to fame during World War II. And America obviously sees itself as something like the Bugs Bunny character in many ways. You know, the wise guy, plucky upstart, going against bigger forces than them, but still able to, you know, win through wits and moxie.
And that's it. Daffy Duck would be an expression of lunacy in a period that seemed to be going completely off the rails. I mean, you got to remember.
Yeah, same with Donald. Then
absolutely.
You know, his time in a munitions factory.
He's the angry sailor, isn't he?
No, that's Popeye, and those cartoons are
Ah,
very hard to watch.
yeah. Well, I haven't aged well because it was a whole different time. I mean, they were going through their version of Trump, I suppose, except their version was much, 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 much nastier. And it honestly looked like civilization was going to end there a few times over, or at least be so completely changed that people wouldn't know how to deal with it. And I think a lot of the Warner Brothers cartoons kind of fit that. And I think if you look at some other comedy traditions, like say the British one, just quick aside here, if you look at something like The Goon Show, they've riffed off a lot of the Warner Brothers and Disney characters as well. So for those of you who aren't familiar with it, The Goon Show was Spike Milligan's big breakout radio sort of, what would you call it, surreal anarchy in comedy form. He's the grandfather of British comedy. And that whole show is nothing but crazy, silly voices it's like a British form of Mel Blanc, but it's done by 3 voice actors: Spike Milligan, Peter Sellers. This is what launched Peter Sellers pretty much.
Harry
and
Seacombe.
Harry Seacombe, who was an opera singer, a Welsh opera singer, I think, had this amazing tin voice. It was incredible. And it's very similar. And if you look at them, it's anarchic and explosive and violent and dark. And once you get past all the laughs, you realize this is people coping with things like the Blitz and mass destruction and all that sort of stuff. And same with the Warner Brothers stuff, coming out of that period where everything seemed very uncertain. And it's like a product of its time, really. I mean, a lot of it's aged, but that sense of vibrancy and that sense of energy just has not aged at all. It's quite amazing. Yeah. You know, the speech impediments are just the icing on the
what
cake.
you're saying previously about
Yeah.
what you're saying previously about running from voice job to voice job to voice job with radio. Even Mel Blanc had to do a lot of that in the 40s. I mean, he was known as a voice actor because he went in for a raise because he was doing so many characters. We'll read through the list of the characters or some of the characters he's done. But he went in for a raise and instead got sole voice credit for any role that he was in. And for 12 odd years, he was the only person that had actual screen credits for voice work in cartoons, which is extraordinary. Disney's claim is they didn't want it to wreck the illusion of their characters being real. Or pay actors proper wage. I suspect might have been the other one for a lot of people, but never mind.
The Magic Kingdom.
Yeah. So, he was working alongside Jack Benny doing his shows. And later in the 50s, when Benny moved to TV, Blanc actually face appeared on screen doing character roles in Jack Benny's Jack Benny's live action TV version of his show. But basically, it got so busy that he had to, all his Warner Brothers work was on, I think it was Tuesday. Wow. And then he'd run from studio to studio to studio on the other days, recording the voice works for all the other popular radio shows that were on at the time. And that's how he made his money.
Wow. This almost starts to sound like being paid with exposure, paid off handsomely for it. He could at least leverage that.
No, there was money being shifted around as well. Don't worry, he made money.
But he got credited for it.
It's not the exposure gig which you die for.
No, that's true. But he got exposure for it, and then suddenly people knows who he is, and then it's a sellable item. Whereas a lot of these character actors would have been like, the drones in Hollywood, pretty much at the beck and call of producers. Excuse me. But the interesting thing about Mel Blanc is that his name was simple enough for all us 7-year-olds in primary school to know who he was. And he was probably one of those characters we all knew about but didn't pay much attention to, or just didn't realize what they were doing. The voices by Mel Blanc. And so, it's interesting. Like decades later, there's a whole new generation coming up that knows nothing about the background of all this stuff. We're just seeing these funny cartoons on TV, and some cartoons are much better than others. Like you look at the Warner Brothers stuff, and they're on fire. And then you look at some of the Hanna-Barbera stuff, and it's positively stilted by comparison. So yeah, we definitely felt like you'd start to learn, like all the kids I knew of that watched cartoons would know who Chuck Jones was and who Mel Blanc was, because every time they saw those names appear in a cartoon, you're in for a good time for at least 10 minutes. So yeah, it's funny how that persists.
It's also, I think you need to have the argument that certain different philosophies being pursued by those cartoons. Warner Brothers is making theatrical content at that time, whereas Hanna-Barbera was making
kid shows.
20 minutes, half an hour TV. TV.
Yeah, right. So this is essentially animation adapting to a new terrifying medium called television. And what you'll find is that radio adapted pretty well to it as well. Because you can see the people in radio going to and from Hollywood and animation pretty comfortably, I think, unless I'm reading it all wrong. But the one group that weren't coping with television and all that sort of stuff was movies themselves. They had a lot of trouble dealing with it. They went to widescreen and Technicolor and all these kind of crazy, tentpole pictures, all these different strategies, and they could not stop this slow, inexorable slide. I mean, we have nostalgia about the 70s and 80s movie boom in a sense, but that was actually a shadow of what Hollywood was in the 30s and 40s. It had audiences 4 or 5 times bigger than those huge numbers watching Star Wars, which is just blows my mind. Because, the movies used to be this thing where you just go out and you just sit down in a theater and just watch whatever the hell turned up, and you'd be there for hours. You'd see the beginning of you'd see the last half of a Western, and then you'd see a cartoon, and then there'd be a newsreel, then they'd show another film, and then people just wandered in and wandered out all the time, like they were channel hopping. It was amazing. And by the time we get to movies, you go, oh, we're going off to see a performance. It's this film. And if you're lucky, you got a short. More likely, you got a few ads and maybe a trailer. But so all those old cartoons were standalone, and not only that, they were aiming for an adult audience. And I know it sounds a bit weird because we used to see them as kids animations, but basically all that stuff was made for grown-ups, and grown-ups that had gone through the hard knocks of life. Hence a lot of the dark humor in it and the slapstick, which would be a combination of current events and
were going through the hard knocks of life, as in the case of Private Snafu.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's fascinating to watch, and then then suddenly there's this idea that cartoons are only for animations, only for kids, and so you dumb it down accordingly. So it's like our version of the Hays Code or the Comic Code Authority. A lot of self-censorship, and it lobotomizes itself, and it doesn't really pick up until you start seeing cartoons in the 90s that start to really get edgy.
Oh, I think you can argue about animated movies in the 70s.
That's true.
And I think we have at some stage, but
I was thinking in terms of shorts and cartoons and short form. But yeah, you're right. I mean, you look at the Ralph Bakshi's, they're going from strength to strength and stuff like that. And some fantastic stuff coming out of Europe and Japan, of course. But But the thing about Mel Blanc is that, he kind of encapsulates all that a little bit, a bit like Chuck Jones. So all his characters, in spite of their zaniness and slightly dated looking age, are still grounded. And I think we still respond to that in that way. And also, he's a full body performer. He's like Andy Serkis, like doing a Gollum. It's all
in. And Mark Hamill.
Absolutely. They're all in, and it shows, and you can hear the difference. And that's why he's bigger than Ben Hur.
Apparently, people passing through the recording studio could tell what character Mel was doing because they could see through the window, even if they couldn't hear the sound for it. Just his body language changes. When he's doing Tweety, he closes in on himself. When he's doing like Pokemon Lego, he's set his head, he's gesticulating and swelling up.
I thought Yosemite Sam was his favorite character. Maybe I'm wrong on that one.
Pretty good. All right, shall we go through like a list of characters, just in case anyone that's still out there listening to us doesn't really know all of the stuff that Mel's done, and this is by no means all of the stuff
No,
he's
he's
voiced.
done a lot.
This
He's done
is
half the
just some of-
Hanna-Barbera characters too.
Yeah. This is just look.
done
I'll go
everything.
through the Warner Brothers one that he's done, and I'll go through a few of the others. So these are the best known Warner Brothers ones. So Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Porky Pig, which he took over quite quickly, Tweety, Sylvester, Speedy Gonzales, Pepe Le Pew, Yosemite Sam, Marvin the Martian, Taz, Foghorn Leghorn, Private Snafu. He took over Elmer Fudd after the passing of his friend Arthur Q. Bryan.
Oh yeah.
And of course, the other weird one that he's done is Jack Benny, with one exception. When Jack Benny's appearing on Warner Brother cartoons, it's normally Mel Blanc that's doing impersonation of it. The mouse that Jack built cartoon, which is very focused on Jack Benny, is actually Jack Benny doing Jack Benny for his friend.
One of the bigger roles that
it's a whole
Mel,
different universe, isn't it?
one of the bigger roles that Mel did for Jack Benny was Jack Benny's car, Maxwell, and that performance was kind of repeated later on for Speed Buggy for Hanna-Barbera. So that whole coughing and sputtering car.
Oh. Yes.
Yeah.
Was that him? Oh,
Shall we go
Yes.
through the Hanna-Barbera characters that he's responsible for
Wow.
then?
Do that.
But the big ones: Barney Rubble, Spacely Sprocket,
Was
Secret
that
Squirrel,
him? Wow.
Captain Caveman. Yeah, and Speed Buggy.
Yeah.
I had no idea. All this time. Barney Rubble, really?
Actually, Tanya. Yeah, Tanya, do you want to cover the other major character that's not appearing so far?
Not appearing. You talking about Woody Woodpecker? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
I'm talking about a certain.
That's right.
Indeed.
You did Woody Woodpecker. It's about the only lively character.
Sorry,
in the
which
whole
one?
thing.
Yeah.
If you're Woody Woodpecker.
Yeah, Woody Woodpecker. Yeah, he's responsible for Woody Woodpecker's trademark
absolutely.
laugh.
But I
So
mean,
Walter
wanna see-
Lance's Woody Woodpecker, the opening and that really distinct voice. That I think Woody Woodpecker comes a little bit earlier than Warner's. Like
he's
one
a
of
little
the
more primeval.
one of the first color animations is a Woody Woodpecker cartoon. I think it it slightly beats out Disney's Flowers and Trees.
Yes.
It's very interesting. Like
I came across a Betty Boop Technicolor film, which I didn't know she did color.
Oh.
And that was a real surprise. It looked kind of weird, green and purple. I think the emulsion had faded. But they were really, it was like massive production values, like properly rendered characters and fonts and all the rest of it. I was so startled. So I don't know what that was all about. But yeah, it's pretty amazing when you have a good, again, that's the old story. Good character actor or good voice actor for your characters. You want a good alternative to that? Look at Heckle and Jekyll or Andy Panda. Now, those are two sets of, like Heckle and Jekyll are two wisecracking crows or two wisecracking magpies. I can't remember which. But they're just your standard, regular, run-of-the-mill characters, like, oh, hello, Jekyll, all that sort of stuff. There's nothing standing out from it. And then you hear the difference of, say, Woody. It's a whole different universe. So, yeah, you're kind of, in a sense, you might have your character design, but it's got to be animated by something. And I don't just mean the animator. I mean, the voice has got to drive it. And then you've got that voice. And that's what I guess.
You've got Tweaky listed in the we're not talking about Buck Rogers.
Yeah. It was yeah.
No. Seriously?
Voice of Tweaky.
Very cool.
And I think we should also state that he did also play the character actor Mel Blanc in the American Express adverts.
Of course he did.
Back in the 80s as well, which he kind of got a little bit of second wind of fame for.
Was that because people were just rediscovering Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers was just rediscovering how they could, well, in the 90s, they franchised it all to death.
possibly that. It's possibly also his son started taking over his career back in, I think, the 70s,
Right.
or helping with that in the 70s, and he was acting as his agent. So he seemed a bit more
Securing his inheritance. Yeah.
yeah. Oh no. It seems like they had a good relationship. I can't say anything otherwise. But it seems he was looking at ad work as his dad was sort of downsizing the amount of roles that he was actually taking on. So that yeah, he got a little bit of a boost with that advertising campaign, and that's just stuck in my head as well. Yeah, and he was pretty much working up to almost the day he died. So he passed away at age 81 back in 1989.
I remember that.
Do you want to account that that graphic that's on the screen at this moment?
Yeah, that appeared in the West Australian, that ad. It appeared everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was a real surprise. I did not expect to see an ad like that in the West Australian. Unless I remember it in the West Australian. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong. But it was like big news. It went all around the world. And yeah, it's like, oh God, cartoons will never be the same again. It had a bit of a profound effect on all us old cartoon fans.
It's such an impressive poster as well.
Yeah, it's really good. So what killed him in the end? Cancer?
No. Well, it's horrible, but he got a bit of I think it might have been a lung or throat infection while he was working. So his son said, "Oh, make sure you see the doctor." So he went to the doctor and then went to hospital for it to recover in hospital. And while he was in hospital, he actually fell out of bed because they didn't leave the railing up and broke his hip. And that triggered, that triggered something. And 2 days later, he passed away, unfortunately.
How many times have we heard that story?
Yeah.
Wow. I thought he'd be a kind of like 2 packs a day type of guy.
He smoked. He smoked. Don't get me wrong. He did smoke. But yeah.
Okay. Because I also heard he had a massive car accident in the 70s or something.
Yeah, back in the 60s, he was driving in LA. I think it was actually Dead Man's Curve itself, and he got plowed in while he was driving a sports car by an Oldsmobile. So he was stuck in the car had to be cut out an hour later. Rushed to hospital. He was touch and go for 14 days. During that period of time.
Wow.
Do you want to tell the story of the doctor's claim of how they brought him up?
I do know this story. I didn't. I don't know what caused the accident, but sports car head on with an Oldsmobile? Jesus.
Yeah, he was driving a sports car. He got hit by an Oldsmobile.
Oh God, those things just don't bend. He would have been crumpled up like an accordion, like Wile E. Coyote, I guess. But the story I heard was that he was in a coma, or I just assumed he had, some illness or something. So he was in a coma after the accident, I presume. And they couldn't get him to respond. And the only way they got him to respond is when one of the neurologists had a brainwave and asked Bugs Bunny if he was okay. And then he responded in Bugs Bunny's voice and said, "Yeah, I'm fine, Doc, blah, blah, blah." And then the guy basically asked all the other characters in his repertoire. And that's how they brought him back. So one part of his brain was knocked flat on its back, but other parts were firing on all cylinders by the sounds of it. So that pretty much shut down production to Warner Brothers Animation for about 6 months. None of the to their credit, none of the other voice actors wanted to step in to tread on Mel Blanc's roles. So they said, "No, you wait till Mel's better." Yeah.
Then he'll do it, and they did. So you actually had to, as soon as he was capable of it, as soon as he was able to do to speak again because he broke a lot of bones in his body at the same time. As soon as he's capable of speaking again, as soon as he's capable of working again, Warner Brothers actually drove a soundtrack out to his house, and he would record from bed
Wow.
and do voices there. And yeah.
Gee. Like literally, he's the lifeblood of the studio, isn't he?
Yeah, very, very much so. Very much so. He was doing so many characters at the time that, yeah, they were very, very worried about what would happen next.
Well, this is why we like Warner Brothers, like the Warner Brothers cartoons over the Disney ones. Sorry. The Disney ones are very much going for that flawless, perfect fantasy world of the audience. And I've always felt that was a bit dodgy, whereas the Warner Brothers stuff feels like it's talking to and with the audience a bit more, even though it looks pretty dated to us these days. But you know, the idea of having this hermetically sealed fantasy world of Disney, where all the people working at Disney World have to stay in character no matter what, and all the characters, you know, they're not mentioning your voice talent in the animations on a Disney film in the credits, so that you don't break the illusion with your audience. For me, feels a little contemptuous of not only your audience, also your production crew as well. It's like Amazon suddenly thinking, you know what, we're not going to mention that we have humans working themselves to death in our warehouses. We want to preserve the illusion of cheap prices. It's like, oh, well, that's all right then.
We should state that Mel Blanc has actually has worked for Disney.
Oh, I'm sure he's done all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, he's in Pinocchio. He's getting the cat in that, and he's done a bunch
really?
of work.
Wow.
Yeah.
God, he's everywhere.
Yeah, pretty much.
Tweaky the robot, Barney Rubble, and a pussycat. Well, how do we top that?
Here's I think a question just to close off. Would those, especially those Warner Brothers characters, would they have become so iconic without Mel's voice?
No. I think that's a pretty easy answer from my perspective.
Well, we've got a couple of cases with those characters with alternate voices, and even the modern attempts to impersonate Mel's take on them kind of falls flat. Yeah, it's not.
You'd have to reinterpret the character.
You have to really work.
Like a James Bond.
That being said, you know, a lot of professional voice actors today, Jim Cummings, Rob Paulson, Billy West, Maurice LaMarche, they all cite Mel Blanc as one of their inspirations. And, you know, those guys have a lot of voices themselves in terms of how they work, and that ethic is probably why they have that continuing ability to get work in the area. Jim Cummings especially, like, he has such a range. How
would you compare Mark Hamill with Mel Blanc? I always got the impression Mark Hamill approached it more like an actor thespian rather than a full-on comic book caricature.
I think.
Well, how do you?
Mark Hamill was thinking acting first. You know, I got to get in character. This is Mel Blanc was thinking character first, straight out.
Doesn't he also do full body performance when he does his voices?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
I mean, there's definitely similarities, and Mark Hamill does have his range. Like, there's a lot of characters that Mark can do. No one has compared. I don't think that Mel Blanc's equal has been found. And the fact that, you know, no one's been able to do it. It's not like Jim Henson, you know, and you eventually find someone like Steve Whitmire who can do Kermit the Frog's voice. No one's been able to really nail those classic characters. Despite, you know, modern iterations of things.
Hank Azaria.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Hank Azaria tells an incredible story about him. Yeah. It's okay. It's Rabbit Hunt is the cartoon, and you've got one sequence of Daffy Duck dressed up as Bugs Bunny doing Bugs Bunny. And then you get Bugs Bunny dressed up as Daffy Duck doing Daffy Duck. And you kind of realize that's the same man in the same booth doing performances. And he just nails the fact that that is a character doing a version of another character without doing a version of that character full on. Extraordinary. It's just an incredible acting. Yeah, people kind of ended up going, see a method actor, and you kind of have to say, yeah, he probably was before method acting was actually a thing.
Well, he's
He
definitely
inhabited the
inhabiting
character.
Yeah. Because I guess, I mean, the reason why I brought that up, I mean, I've heard that story before, but with Mark Hamill, he did the Joker multiple times in multiple versions in different styles of Batman cartoon, yet it was still the same character, recognizably the same tone and character, but adjusted to fit the art styles of each cartoon, each Batman cartoon. Like he's done about half a dozen to a dozen of them or something like that. They're all quite profoundly different. But it's still quite recognizably the same tone, vibe, and character. It's interesting. And so that's why I was wondering about the comparison between Mark Hamill and Mel Blanc, because of the way he did that with the Joker. But you're right. There's something not primal, but there's something organic about Mel Blanc. Like when you hear the characters, it seems like the most natural, straightforward thing in the world. The zaniness of the characters, of their drawing and their actions, are perfectly matched with a voice that matches them. Speaking of which, I'm kind of hanging out for Wile E. Coyote versus Acme. I just want to see Foghorn Leghorn as a legal counsel.
I'm excited.
It was Mel Blanc, but anyway, so yeah, should be good.
But yeah, like as kind of a thing, the critiques. So the whole thing, there's Mel doing people with speech impediments a disservice. Definitely wasn't.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, to a degree, yes.
Well, they just weren't concerned about that stuff back then.
It's true. When he took over Porky Pig's role, the original actor had a speech impediment, and they kept that in as part of the character. Mel just took it and made an actual authentic sounding startup. Like it definitely works.
The story behind that is Mel's actually, it's supposed to be a grunt or of a pig. The unk is talked. It turned into
and see that's pretty
it's
interesting.
like
that's how he justifies it.
But lisps,
it's like
he wasn't afraid
Elmer
of lisps, raspy.
Defined by the
people with weird quirks in their voice. He used everything, and I don't think any of it was mean spirited. In fact, those characters are positive, great characters. So I not being someone with a speech impediment, other than the fact that I put my foot in my mouth quite often, is like it's representation rather than pulling the piss out of.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think it feels very spontaneous. It feels very unforced, and it doesn't feel mean at all. It's like Elmer Fudd, for example. He's defined by his speech impediment almost, and that's what almost makes him. And even to the point where someone like Robin Williams can use Elmer Fudd doing Bruce Springsteen in a comedy skit many decades later. I'm sure you know which one I'm talking about.
The radio. The weird old quotes.
And the minute that voice comes out, it's instantly Elmer Fudd, and it's not Robin Williams anymore. That's amazing. It's and it just brings down an entire stadium of people like that. It's pretty impressive work. It's I could watch that stuff all day and not get tired of it.
I think
and not feeling comfortable at it either.
I think Robin Williams matched his energy. I think that's why. But
Definitely.
But Robin Williams
I think, was a bit all over the place
wasn't a voice actor in the same way, but he could do it because he definitely matched that energy.
He could definitely do it. I mean, our experience on Happy Feet, and I think a few other directors working with him, is that he had a tendency to take over films if you weren't careful. So often people were restraining him a little bit. I think he was less disciplined than Mel Blanc. Is that the right word to use?
Yeah.
I think Robin was driven by internal forces that eventually destroyed him. You know, depression and all, of which depression and
Trigger
suicide
warning
was a result of that. Whereas I don't think Mel Blanc had that. Yeah, well, it's true. Mel Blanc grew up in a much more, challenging time. He would have been forced early on to deal with that shit. He wouldn't have had any luxuries of just letting it get loose, because he would not have lived to 81. He probably would have died in the war or something like that, or in the vaudeville. So, in a sense, I think that whole street smart thing, or that whole resilience thing, actually resilience would be a better way to put it, would be the sort of thing that he'd have to deal with. And I always got the impression that his stuff was much more deliberate and much more controlled. I don't want to say disciplined, because that's the wrong impression I want to give, but yeah, it wasn't out of control. It wasn't hiding anything.
So, any last things that we want to say about Mel Blanc before we let the audience go into their evenings and Tanya to get ready for bed?
I think we should say that it is also a good pairing of Blanc with a couple of the directors and the animators at the time that's responsible. It just seemed like the perfect personality and perfect voice to work with someone like Chuck Jones or Tex Avery, and match their level of insanity that it could get to with their projects.
And intelligence too.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah. I mean, you look at how structured and how disciplined a Roadrunner cartoon is. It's quite startling when you pull it to bits and look at how it ticks. And you realize, man, there's quite a lot going in there. And I'm just trying to remember, was it Bugs Bunny versus Wile E. Coyote, Super Genius? That's my favorite.
Yes.
What's up?
Because when you get to Roadrunner, that's pretty much Chuck Jones distilled into the essence of comedy into almost a formula.
Yeah. It's not just a formula that just puts out formula. It's constantly updating and revising and making sure it never repeats itself, and it's never predictable. But yeah, it's pretty good. So top 3 Mel Blanc short cartoons.
Ooh.
What would be yours? Without sounding cliche.
What's Opera Doc has to be up there for all of us, I think, surely.
Yep.
Yes. Top.
I think they'd have to be up there, because you suddenly realize they're not just making fun of opera. They actually know opera and they enjoy it too. So
Mel Blanc had a 8-octave range apparently. He had musical training and a serious voice.
He literally sings both those parts.
He's right up there.
In as Elmer and as
I believe that's still I believe that's still Arthur Q. Bryan doing Elmer Fudd at the time.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Elmer Fudd doing opera.
Yeah, I believe it is.
Okay.
He only takes over the role after Arthur dies, and there is footage. I've seen some footage of conversation between the two as they're practicing and getting things organised. So
cool.
Yeah, I'd say What's Opera Doc, and then I just love the interplay between Wile E. Coyote and Bugs Bunny, where my name is Wile E. Coyote, super genius. I just love the sound of that. Super. And you think, oh God, Coyote, it's all going to end badly, isn't it? And sure enough, it does. It runs into a Bugs Bunny, and it just goes, it just goes south very quickly. And I think the third one for me would have to be one of the Elmer Fudd ones. With I can't remember which one it is. Maybe it's all
Rabbit
three
season.
of them. Yeah, the
Duck
three
season.
hunting
Rabbit season.
cartoons.
Duck
Yeah,
season.
Rabbit season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say in that case, go for Rabbit Hunt, where you've got
Rabbit Hunt. I'll go with that
each
one.
version doing a different version of the other. You know.
Yeah, I think that would have to be it when he actually gets completely meta. That would have to be it. Yeah, and of course they're all Warner Brothers cartoons, of course. Yeah. What about you, Tanya?
Well,
I could easily see us having the same choices. Actually.
We already went down this path when I was talking the Chuck Jones era. So, you know, previous episodes, however long ago that was. Yeah. So this definitely fits in my wheelhouse of my favorite animations. I like every single one of the characters, and I switch back and forth. I tend to love Chuck Jones's Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner stuff, but it's less Mel than actual action. Yeah, I think really, if you're talking Mel, anything with Daffy Duck is the standout character for me amongst the, you know, because he brings that level of woo 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 all over the place, and then can be back to completely angry. But even little things like, you know, Mel jumping from Sylvester to Tweety, and doing that, like, very, very cool.
Yeah.
But, you know, nothing specifically, I'd say. I'm just checking something.
Okay. What about you, Dave?
All right. I think I was part of that conversation before. You know, What's Opera Doc obviously is going to be up there for all of us. As far as characters go, I think I got a soft spot for Marvin the Martian, though. You know, sci-fi head in me, but also just the pomposity combined with the absolute failure that he makes of things is just strikes me hilarious every time. You know, so really one of the Duck Dodgers episodes should be up there, shouldn't it?
Duck Dodgers in the 24th and a half century.
Yeah, combining Marvin, Porky, and Daffy together.
And those wild backgrounds.
Yeah.
Those fantastic minimalist backgrounds. They're just gorgeous.
Just doing the voice of Barney Rubble for so long. Like, yeah, and I remember as a kid, you know, watching episodes of Captain Caveman and the Teen Angels, and, you know, I love that stuff.
He's also in Wacky Races and Perils of Pauline. You know, not Perils of Pauline. What's the Hanna-Barbera Wacky Races version of the character?
Interesting. Yeah. That's cool.
Voices for that. Yes.
Alrighty. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up.
Yeah. So
Penelope Pitstop. Thank you, Brian, for finally getting
Penelope Pitstop is who you were thinking of. Yes.
That was, yes.
That's not Mel Blanc. But yeah.
No. But he's doing characters for those as well. The two cavemen in the in Wacky Races are Mel. One of the Lavender Mob crew that's in the Pearls of Pauline or Penelope Pitstop is
he the voice of Muttley?
Mel as well. It's just all those minor characters. What?
Is it the voice of Muttley? Maybe not. No.
Oh, really? The laugh.
Is he?
No, I don't think so.
Damn. He's in everything. I had no idea. Hang on.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's all over the place. Cool.
Wow.
Anyway, before we find out we're actually being voiced by Mel Blanc, let's shall we call it a night?
Yes,
I think so.
I'm going to say good night from me, and see you next time.
Good night from me.
And good night for him. I'll catch you later.
Yeah.
And
See ya.
what's the next one going to be? 90s anime cyberpunk?
Oh, you know,
Something
cyberpunk
completely
episode
different.
sounds like it should be on the
All right.
cards. Okay. See y'all.